Welcome to Prestige Worldwide, the podcast, a weekly battle of wits, debating everything from horseshoes to hand grenades, all for the privilege to be called right. And now, your hosts, Bobo and Travis.
Hey guys, welcome to Prestige Worldwide Podcast. I'm your host Travis, and with me is Bobo.
Heyo!
How's it going, buddy?
Oh, doing great, man.
Yeah?
So we finally found out what the Academy Award was for Best Picture and the Razzie. We're going to talk about that later on in the podcast. Just want to bring that full circle because I'm still bubbling with all that rage and intensity from a couple weeks ago.
I'm over it.
You're over it? You've moved on?
I guess. Sure. And we'll see when it comes to when we recap who won and who didn't.
Okay, we're going to get to that. That'll be our end times for this episode. We'll get to that at the very end. We have something special for this week.
We did.
So.
Or we do.
We did and we do, because it's still coming. Hang on. So, we listen to a lot of other podcasts, a lot of other radio shows. We're both inspired by a lot of radio.
Yep.
And we stumbled on a podcast by an individual named Larry Bleidner. Yes. And we're both taken by him. He has the most smooth, velvety voice. It just tickles the eardrums in all the right ways. It makes you feel like you're sitting by a fire. You're drinking a nice glass of single malt scotch with a cigar in your hand, and he's just chatting away, the smooth voice over the radio. It takes you back to a different time.
It does.
It's a different kind of comedy, and it's fascinating. The show is called That Larry Show. You can find it on iTunes and Google. And we recorded an interview with the host, Larry Bleidner. And it's just a one-man band, one-man show. It's his podcast. He's the only one on it, and no tricks or gimmicks. It's just him and some stories, and he's led a very interesting life and had a ton of stories, and his podcast is full of these stories. And I sit there and listen to it, and I'm like, man, Travis, we should get this guy. We should try to do an interview with him, because he just seems like a guy that has a lot of interesting stories, a lot of cool life experiences.
Right. Yeah.
And he didn't disappoint.
Yeah, and credit to Bobo. He's the one who found Larry's podcast and introduced me to it, and it is really good. Like, as Bobo keeps saying, he's got a lot of stories, got a lot of life experience, and so we decided, hey, let's try to get him on here, and let's question him about a couple things we've heard. So that's what we did. Yep.
So we got him on, and That Larry Show, check it out. And this is our interview we had with Larry Bleidner, who is the host of the show. Joining us now on Prestige Worldwide, located at the crossroads of madness and enlightenment, the sensei of the Take No Shit Dojo, Mr. Larry Bleidner. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's nice to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Yes.
So we're big fans of your podcast. We've been listening to the podcast, and we want to find more out about Larry Bleidner, the person, the comedian, the new podcaster, and some about your experiences. You seem to have a lot of life experiences we want to get into. So we're just going to jump right into it. Right, Travis?
Yep, let's do
this. Jump right in. What is it they say on Facebook? AMA? Ask me anything.
I think that's Reddit, but...
Oh, is it Reddit? Okay.
You should do one of those, though. It actually would probably go really well for you.
All right.
So, Larry, like I said, we've been listening to your podcast, and, the format of your podcast is a little different. It seems a little bit more scripted, a little more thought out than, say, our podcast. So what was the inspiration behind that?
I don't know. And what happened was, as you know, I kind of started, I did a couple of guest spots with Dick Masterson on his. Mm-hmm. And then some people said, you need to take a swing at that yourself. So I did, and I recorded an interview with an author friend of mine, and I listened to that, and I thought, that kind of sucks. And then I did something else, and it just didn't grab me. And I thought, shit, I got to do something here. I want to get something out for Christmas. And I just kind of flashed on this idea of crappy Christmas songs, and then an assisted suicide for Charlie Brown. And somehow it just, the format just sort of snapped into focus for me, on the fly. So I really don't know where it came from, to be perfectly honest with you guys.
So really just stream of consciousness, and that's what you came up with? I mean,
yeah,
I love it. So I think there's nothing really out there like it, which is part of the reason I was drawn to that. And the short time frame. All these podcasts now are getting so long, hours upon hours. And yours is, 30 minutes. You get in, you do your thing, and you get out,
Thank you. I try. And that's about all I can sit still in front of a microphone. After about 40 minutes, the hemorrhoids kick in. And I have to call it a day.
So what would you consider yourself, at this point? Are you a podcaster? Are you a writer? Are you a comedian?
Oh dear. I've sort of dipped my toe in all those pools. A podcast just being the latest of them. I've written some books and some television and for movies, and then did some some terrestrial radio over the years, and a little bit of acting. So the podcast thing is just kind of the latest iteration, if you will.
Did you say acting?
Yes.
What have you been in? Anything we've seen?
Not in a long time. I was a kid actor, and back in New York, and I did a bunch of commercials and voiceovers and things like that. But that sort of excuse me, that had a good run until I hit my my mid-teens, and I wasn't so cute anymore. And then they just stopped calling, the bastards. I still haven't forgiven them.
I just picture a 13-year-old boy with his deep, velvety voice. It's just kind of a weird juxtaposition on that.
Why does nobody want me?
Exactly.
Would you, now, if you had your druthers about it, would you still like to be an actor? Is that your fame persona? What would you really consider yourself if you wanted to be something?
Oh, wow. The acting thing, I had a lot of fun doing it, but I have some friends who've made career out of it, and it's not something I'd want to do. When they're rejecting you, they're rejecting you.
Yeah.
You get a screenplay or a book or something that people say this sucks. Well, that's okay. You can always write another one. How do you remake yourself? So the acting thing, no, it's not something I would.
That's a good point. I never thought of it like that. But when they're saying no, they're pointing at you and they're saying you're not the person for the part. And you can't be. Oh, I'll be somebody else tomorrow. I'll come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So of those, which one would you say your favorite is then? Like, are you enjoying this podcasting? Would you rather be, behind a typewriter writing?
I gotta tell you something. This is the most fun I've ever had doing almost anything. It really is. Because even the podcasting, because even the some of the radio that I've done and so forth and the writing, there's always somebody standing over your shoulder, a program director, an editor, somebody saying do it that way, And with this, it's just me and the audience, and I get feedback from them, which is fantastic. And their criticisms, amazingly, are spot on. When people will say, "Hey, you need more compression on your audio, or lighten up on the effects, whatever," and it's amazing how erudite they are. And so, but I don't have to listen to them if I don't want to. And it makes it all the more fun. It's very freewheeling. I like it.
Cool. So, I just figured it out. This is a complete tangent. For the longest time, I've been talking to Travis about your voice sounds familiar, because you do have a very deep, velvety voice. And I was thinking, where have I heard a voice like his before? And I just figured it out. You sound like George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM.
Oh my God. I think George has about 2 more testicles than I do. Really.
One and a half at most. That it just clicked in my head. I was like, that's where it is. I don't know what story part of that. I was like, oh my gosh, I used to listen to that as a kid. I used to love that stuff.
It is good stuff. I've always been a big fan of, even when it was Art Bell and George. It's a fun format. It really is.
Yeah, I agree. I was a big fan of the shows. I don't get to listen to as much now as an adult because I'm, asleep during those hours. But
right. It's good something to get up for in the morning.
Right. Exactly. So, all right. So let's move on a little bit here to something a little bit different. So,
sure.
You talk a lot about Catholic school experiences in your podcast. Yes. Do you consider yourself a spiritual person? Travis and I have talked about this, and we're not really sure on the fence where you sit in that spectrum.
I do. I do consider myself a spiritual person. Not too much into the structured aspect of it, though. I really, over the years, usually the middlemen piss me off. Because they have, really, they've got an agenda. They have an axe to grind. Not to say that they're all bad. There are some clergymen in any religion that I'm certain are, their intent is good. But a lot of them aren't.
Oh,
and so yeah, spiritual, yes, but as far as adhering to the dogma of a particular religion, not so much. No.
So you're not a you're not a Sunday churchgoer?
Well, I have to go. One of my kids goes to Catholic school, so every so often I find my butt in one of their pews.
Yeah.
But I just can't wait to get out of there every time. It's really because what they've really done. I'll tell you guys because hey, this is a podcast line. We say what we want to say. They have somehow extracted spirituality out of, I think, their ceremonies. And when I do go to church now, really, it's like, how do I say? I would say it's kind of like a splinter group of American Idol. It's all these frustrated performers that go on and on and on. It's just like, and where's the God part? It's very
right.
much not in. It's a fraction of what's going on here. It's mostly drum kits and saxophones and keyboards and people performing.
All that
which
pomp
is great,
and circumstance and no real meat to the.
Yeah, if I want to hear people perform, I want some cocktails in a nightclub. I don't need that. At a church.
They got wine and bread, crackers. I mean, come on.
It's crappy
now.
bread, and I do not drink out of communal cups ever.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that.
Go get hepatitis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we've in listening to your episodes of your podcast, we've heard some nice tales of your Catholic school experience.
Yes.
That seems like something you may have shied away from exposing your kids to.
That's a great question. It really is, because guys, by the time I was, I had 16 years of Catholic education. Okay. Mm-hmm. Grammar school, high school, and college. Ooh. Although by the time I got to college, they've kind of throttled back on the theology, and it wasn't such a heavy element of it. But by the time I was, 18 or 19, I made a solemn vow that no kid of mine would ever set foot inside a Catholic school. And I'd have kept it if the public schools weren't so shitty.
I can't, it's hard to argue that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So, I mean, when I send my kid off to school, I want her to come back alive. And that's pretty much going to happen at Catholic school, but
and you can
it's
just
a crapshoot at some of the LA schools. It really is. So
no pun intended.
I've never gone to a Catholic school. Is it still the nuns and the habits, or are we?
No, at least not around here. In fact, I don't know where they even get nuns, and I don't think they have to dress like penguins anymore.
Oh.
No, you almost never see them. I think there's a big shortage. I mean, they're always pitching that vocations, and they're always looking for people to join the army. But
the God's army, if you will.
Exactly.
So I think what I'm hearing there is, kids, if you're looking for a vocation coming up, nuns are where it's at.
There is a niche to be filled.
Well, you can't beat the, it's a lifetime gig with great benefits.
I wouldn't use the word
other
great
than the
there.
missionaries, they live a pretty cushy life.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Just that no sex thing that really sucks.
Yeah, and the clothing.
Some of them work around that, don't they?
I guess they do.
They bend the rules.
Exactly.
So, another thing you talk about in your podcast a lot is your days playing in the country western band. And
yes.
Travis and I are both, we both were touring musicians at one point in our life too. So we want to hear about some of your, what are your musical interests?
Obviously country, but it didn't start that way. I was actually, kind of into the rock thing. I was a big Alice Cooper fan.
Really? Okay.
A lot of his catalog. Yeah, I love Cooper. And then I met this guy in college who he brought his guitar to school one day and started picking some bluegrass, and it just grabbed me, And we got into it in a big way, and then somehow I can't even remember how it happened. Suddenly we had 5 or 6 pieces assembled, and we had a gig at a honky tonk out in Long Island, and we were country western music guys. So our influences we were very heavily influenced by William Whalen the outlaw sound, the Austin thing. But we weren't opposed to Rhinestone Cowboy, Nashville Glitter, Porter Wagner. And, if it was good, it's good. We really didn't give a shit where it came from. And
How long
we
did
had
you
a
do
ton
that?
of fun doing that. It's probably, I would say maybe 3 or 4 years. Wasn't too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we never really toured. That's one thing I missed. It would have been cool to tour. We played local joints in the tri-state area, but we never had a bus or a plane, or we never strayed too far.
Even your mom's minivan.
Excuse me?
I said even
What's
your
that?
mom's minivan, anything, to get to the next show.
Anything.
That's right.
Anything. Yeah.
It's just surprising because you wouldn't think of New York as being a hotbed of any country music at all.
Right.
So,
It's not. It was not. But it's surprising. These little, strongholds of fans are out there. And I was even shocked. I mean, at that time, let me say, I don't think there was even a country station in the New York area. But I'd always dug it as a kid. I used to, watch Johnny Cash and Glenn Campbell on TV. And Glenn was just a fantastic musician. What a guitar player.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap. It's just great vocal, great everything. And so it always grabbed me, but I never really got into it until I met this friend of mine. And you guys know how it is being musicians. There's something about when you're in a room with someone and watching them do it, then you just sort of jump in, right?
oh, right. Yeah, that's true. And that one thing leads to another. Next thing you're playing shows at the honky tonk.
Exactly.
And then the next thing you know, you're quitting your job and you're hopping in a van with 5 other people and you're going on tour and you're getting a credit card debt and your wife's real pissed at you. I mean, that might not be
Have you guys been that route? Did you take it that far?
Oh yeah. We were, yeah.
I mean, no. When we say
Good for
touring,
you.
when we say touring, it's not what you think. I mean, it's in a sweaty van with a bunch of other dudes, and it wasn't glamorous at all, but it was fun.
You had a ton of fun, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
It's nothing like it.
So what were the honky tonk groupies like?
They ran a gamut. They went from, pretty cute to not so cute. Just kind of like the rest of the population. But, it was fun to have them, and they were a little core group, and they'd, bring us gifts on our birthdays and always cheer us on, even when we played shitty, and it was nice to have them.
Did you guys record any original music?
We never did. We were always too busy just trying to add to our repertoire,
Yeah.
And, we should have, but we never did. No.
It's not too late. Reunion shows are very popular nowadays. I'm just going to let you know. You could get the band back together anytime you want.
What was the name of the band?
We were the Cadillac Cowboys.
The Cadillac Cowboys.
Cadillac Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's a good. I like that. It's a good name.
Yeah, but the crazy thing was we had guys that played with us, even though we were, bottom feeders in the business. But we had, we had a guy that had toured with Olivia Newton-John for years. Another guy, he'd been the steel guitar player for Asleep at the Wheel. And God, there were several others that had some pretty heavy credentials. How the hell they wound up with us, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they sure helped give us a nice sound.
Did you ever ask them that? Be like, what are you doing here, man?
No. Never asked that, no.
You don't want to scare them
How
off.
did you
like,
fall so low? No. No.
Well, I'd imagine around the Long Island area, since there wasn't a country music station, it was kind of nichey. So all the people that liked that kind of music probably gravitated towards each other.
Oh yeah, there was a little circuit. There was our place, and there was a couple of places in Manhattan, Old Lunny's, which was kind of bluegrass and Irish. Then there was a joint downtown on 13th Street. What the hell? The Lone Star Cafe, and they got some big acts in there.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and that was a cool club. And then there was a couple others farther out in the island, and Connecticut. They were sprinkled around. There was a little circuit you could work. Yeah.
Man, I'm just listening to these stories. You must have an excellent memory.
I guess it's a good long-term memory, but I have no idea what I had for breakfast. None. So don't ask me that.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that as well.
I do not have that great of a long-term memory like that. I couldn't tell you the names of the venues I played at most of their shows, and he's just rattling them off. I mean, that is amazing. That must be why there's so much material for your podcast, because you just have these stories that must sit in your head and you can recall them. It seems almost instantly with, very minute details that most people have forgotten in, their everyday life.
Well, it's funny, I would probably have to credit my kids in some way for that, because I would read them. Well, it started out reading them stories when they were toddlers, you know, and they would quickly get bored with whatever the hell book it was. And they just say, "Daddy, tell me a story," you know. And so I didn't have the imagination to make them up on the fly. And I started telling them both stories. And really, I probably told them several thousand stories over the years, all original, with very few repeats.
Nonfiction, if you will.
I guess that's, yeah, nonfiction. I guess that kind of helped me, you know, fuel this thing, recording. Of course, they were a different grade of stories. You know, they're not the podcast stories, but stuff, you know, that I did as a kid that they got a kick out of. And, I guess it was kind of a training period for this thing.
So I guess if it catches on, you can do a kid's version of your podcast, you know, for younger ears.
I don't think I could curb my foul mouth long enough. No, I could do that, but
yeah,
anyway.
you're in good company here, because we couldn't either.
That's why we had this.
Well, listen, guys, it's a proven fact. You cannot trust people who never curse.
That's why my wife's cheating on me. I knew it.
Huh?
No, my wife doesn't swear at all, and she hates my dirty mouth. And you proved it. I knew there's something up with her. Oh.
I'll bet if you pissed her off enough, she'd say something nasty to you.
No, it's come out a couple times. You're right. It's usually if I get her all worked up.
God, I'd love a recording of that.
I'll try. I'll try to slip my phone behind my pocket there, and I'll get her real pissed off, Travis. We'll bring that in as an episode, all right?
You could do it.
So, Larry, I have a question, and forgive me if I'm getting the timeline down, or if this is at all dating you. Did you ever play at CBGB's when it was country and bluegrass?
No.
Okay,
no, I never did. I'll tell you what. I went to CBGB's once, and some friend of mine had said, "Oh, it's great," but by then it wasn't country. It was all, you know, punk and new wave stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, I walked in there and there's people with, you know, hat pins in their cheeks and puking in the corner. And it just wasn't my thing at all.
Yeah.
I don't even think I had a drink. I left. Yeah.
Yeah. You couldn't really trust anything in there to, you know,
well, it just wasn't my crowd. You know, it wasn't the scene, wasn't the crowd, wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But certainly a part of history. If you haven't seen it, there's a fabulous documentary on it on Netflix. It came out. I saw it recently.
Oh, is there?
Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah,
I didn't know about that. Write that down, Travis. I'm going to check that out.
Write that down, Travis.
He's taking notes for us. He has the pen in his hand, so. Interesting. That's cool. So if that's not your crowd, how do you fit in LA then?
I don't. I don't know why the hell I'm here.
All right, I'm just checking, because that crowd out there can get pretty, you know.
Well, actually, see, you know, in a city of whatever the hell this is, I don't know, 6 or 10 million or something. You know, it's, they're here. You have to look for them. But, you know, over the years, I've assembled a pretty nice, group of friends, but it's not easy. No.
It's more work.
And I don't, you know, I'm certainly not your typical LA person at all.
No, you don't seem like it at all. No. That's true.
No. I just like the weather.
Is there a good story of how you transplanted out there?
Yeah, I used to, I worked for some years, for ABC television, and, they would ship me out here several times a year, and man, when it would be February, and I'd leave JFK and they're de-icing the plane, and then I'd land at LAX and get in a convertible and drive around in my T-shirt for a week. LA just became more and more seductive, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, you know, I'd kind of spent, you know, enough time shoveling snow in New York, and there wasn't a hell of a lot holding me there. At one point, I got an opportunity with another company to take a position out here, and I did.
You just made the jump to the sunny skies.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Sunny skies,
it's winter
and smog,
here.
and gunfire in the night. Yeah.
Do you miss the seasons at all?
I do. I don't miss snow, and as somebody told me rather, you know, when I came here and was waxing, you know, somewhat nostalgic about the seasons. The guy says, "Well, let me tell you something, pal. If you feel, you never have to shovel heat, okay?" So, and it's true. But you know, the thing is, Los Angeles has its own subtle seasons, which you have to live here to appreciate. But you know, it does cool off most times between November and in March, and the leaves turn on the deciduous trees, and so it's just not as extreme. There's other extreme shit like riots and floods and skull cracking temperatures.
That would sound like fun.
Yeah, sure. As long as you're armed, you're okay.
I mean, listen, if you don't have any guns, Dick's got enough for you.
Yeah, well, listen to my most recent episode. You'll hear all about guns.
Oh, we've listened to it. I know. I know how you prep.
Oh, yeah.
Which, your thumbnails for the latest episode is my favorite one, by the way. I know a lot of people like last week's thumbnail, but this week's my favorite.
And it wasn't even photoshopped. I mean, those are my biceps. Really.
I knew it. I fucking knew it. So,
you know what I found out too? The babe there with the Russian winter hat and the beautiful pointy carriage there. She had a couple of, I don't know I couldn't figure out what the hell those guns were that she was shouldering.
Yeah.
And I had no idea, but I didn't give a shit because she just was so easy to look at.
Right.
And some guy sent me an email. Turns out those are some guns from some video game.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I thought they might be some exotic Eastern Bloc, I don't know what.
Some cool Cold War era, yes, clandestine things.
They're fucking toys.
You can't trust women. That's right there. That's how you know.
But see, I wasn't looking at her guns anyway. I was looking at her consialed weapons.
Well, yeah.
I understand.
And the dude that emailed you knowing they were video game guns, I don't know what to say about him. Just,
got a good eye.
That and not much else.
Aww.
No. He's actually a cool guy. He wrote a very funny email about it. Good dude.
So you get a lot of fan email now as the show, you get a lot of voicemails? You going to play any for us on the air and your latest episode's coming up?
Yeah, when I get something, I want to do that. I will. I get a lot of emails and it's amazing. I mean, it's just, this internet thing is so staggering to get emails from people in Finland and New Zealand and like, holy shit, it's really kind of mind blowing.
Wow.
And I do want to play some, but what happens is I never really know what I'm going to do from episode to episode. And so sometimes I'll close one out and say, hey, if you got any stories to tell me about this, lay them on me and I'll play them. And then when I do the next episode, it has absolutely nothing to do with the last one. And it would be such a non sequitur to sort of shoehorn it in there. I would think it might be jarring. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just do an episode of sort of undiscovered emails, just let them fly, or undiscovered voicemails, I should say. And play those just, off the cuff.
So you really just come into the studio and you just hit record and you just start talking and telling stories? Okay.
No. I get a notion of what I want to do. And then, somehow it rolls from there. And it's weird. Like I said, I just sort of follow, it is a stream of consciousness, but then I sort of gather my thoughts on paper or on Microsoft Word. And sort of flesh them out so I know where I'm going before I switch on the mic. The circus episode, I don't know how that became I really couldn't tell you how that became a circus episode because when I started writing that, it was about the mob code of omerta. Silence no matter what. I have no idea how it got from there to the circus.
You really jumped off on a different tangent on that one.
And that's the way I'm finding that they're going. I start off thinking, I think I'll do this, and then 20 minutes later, I'm in a different zip code. So,
you ever just hit pause and take a real deep breath, and you're like, man, where did this go?
I never even did any drugs, so I don't understand this.
Well, there's still time, Larry. There's still time.
That's right.
There
Never
is,
say never.
Yes. And I'm sure there are people right near me that would happily give them to me.
So I know you just mentioned the mob. You've talked about them a lot on your podcast. You think they listen at all to your show?
I hope not. I really do. I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm certainly not using their real names.
Oh, right.
And some of them are kind of amalgams of a few people. Maybe not precise. I mean, Tony Spamanti was a real guy, of course, not under that name, but he has characteristics that would have been found with some of his other peers. I mean, he wasn't the only mob guy I ever knew. Yeah. And those guys had a kind of a certain sameness about them, even though they could be very, very interesting characters, but they all kind of came from the same place.
Right,
Are you still in contact with him?
I can't tell you that. If I did, I'd have to kill you.
Well, if there was ever a co-host with a New York accent on, we'll know who it is. All right, so we got one more question for you when we wrap up, Larry. So,
Yeah.
the famous last question. If you,
Yes.
every item you've ever lost in your whole life, every material item, was in a box, what one item would you want back from that box and why?
My spleen. No,
Really?
no,
Man,
That seems useless.
figured that was gonna be a good
I'll
story.
tell you what. It's a bit of a weird story, but since you guys asked me if I'm spiritual, I'll lay it on you anyway. When I was a kid, my dad built this banging handmade creche for a nativity set at Christmas. And he was a very handy guy, could do great carpentry and so on. And then somehow, moving from, and he passed away, and somehow getting from New York to LA, I lost that. And I was really pretty pissed off at myself about that because it had a lot of sentimental value. And I would have put that in that box. Okay.
Okay.
But when my kids were old enough to appreciate the nativity creche and I started shopping around for them, all the ones in the stores were shit. They were like cardboard and particle board and stuff. If you spilled a drink on it, it would melt.
Just commercialized crap, right?
Exactly. And my daughter said to me, "Daddy, why don't you build one?" Right? And I'm not the handy type like my dad, not in that way. And I said, "Okay, honey, we will." And so I spent, every night for a month in my garage, sort of just putting this thing together. And it came out pretty damn nice. And we've used it for many years now. And I thought to myself, this is probably the way the old man wanted it. Because if I'd hung on to his, I'd never have had that experience with my little girl.
Right, building your own. Okay.
Exactly.
That's a good answer because you've lost it, but by losing it, something else came out of it that might be even better. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good answer. Okay. Well,
I'm sure he's looking down on, very happy that you shared that
I'm sure
experience
he
with
is.
your daughter. Yeah.
But I'm certainly he'd still like to wash my mouth out with soap.
Well, we can't have everything we want.
No, sorry, Dad. I'm me. You're you. That's that.
excellent. Well, Larry, thank you for being on the show with us. Do you have anything you want to push or plug? Now's whatever you're coming up. Any projects?
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you what. I got a couple of things that in the offing, if I may.
Absolutely.
One is I'm going to be doing a bonus episode in the next week or so for Patreonies only, as Dick Masterson says. And this one is going to it's a very personal story. Funny you should mention guns earlier, about how I dealt with a home invasion situation some years back.
Wow.
Yeah. And get into that in greater detail in the whole gun controversy. And so that's going to be a fun one. And then I'm also thinking about putting together pretty soon a Larry store with select items available only to you from the Take No Shit Dojo. What those are yet, I don't know, but keep an eye out.
One of a kind crash.
There you go. That's right.
Where's the Patreon level for that?
I have to think. You guys have to help me think of that. I don't know what it'll be, but
Okay,
we'll
work on that. Well, Larry, thank you very much for being on the show. It's That Larry Show.
Yep.
iTunes, the website, all that stuff. I think it's all the same name under that stuff. So go search for it, listen to it. We're listening to it and we love it.
Yeah, it's great.
So thank you very much,
Travis and
Larry.
Bobo, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure hanging with you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right,
God bless. Take care.
So that was our interview with Larry Bleidner. God, what a cool fucking guy he is.
Yeah.
And I just, I can't wait to listen to more episodes every single week. It's on my first thing to play on my podcast list. I just love him.
Yeah, he's got some great stories.
Such good stories. And I'm hoping when Dick Masterson does his road show in LA, I'm going to fly out there and have a drink with him. So
Oh, yeah?
yeah, I'm going to go.
Nice.
So I think Dick's coming to Philadelphia too, but I don't think Larry will come out here.
Yeah.
So anyways, but now let's move on to our end time segment.
Okay.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and now it's end times.
So we're going to recap some of the Oscar and Razzies stuff that we had from last week.
You want to start with the contest?
Yes. So I lost.
Yeah, you did.
And not only did I lose, I was fucking robbed.
I would also agree with that because
Right.
we both said we thought that Zoolander 2 was the worst movie.
Right.
So it should have won. I knew it wasn't going to because I'm smart, but
You did not. You wanted to pick Zoolander 2 as well, except we couldn't have it. So you decided to go with Hillary's America, which
I rolled the dice and I came out on top.
Listen, I mean, yes,
hot hand in a dice game. Just call me Tron.
I still stick by. I don't really look at that as a movie or.
You know what? The more I thought about it, the more I thought your argument was valid about that.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that. It's not really a movie.
Yeah,
but you know what? Even on the finals list, people seem to vote for it being the worst. So.
That's true. And that one and Batman versus Superman were the big losers.
Which, again, I don't know why that was such a big loser. It was not a good movie. Not Zoolander too bad in any way, ever. But anyways, enough of the Razzies. Let's talk about the Oscars.
Okay.
So, what were your thoughts on the Oscars overall?
Okay, so I watched it with my wife. The Oscars as a whole, Jimmy Kimmel did a fucking great job. He was awesome as a host. His jokes were snarky, and he made fun of people, and they still laughed. And that whole part of it was great. The awards, I don't know.
I just can't fucking believe you watched the Oscars. I can't believe anybody does. Number one, yeah. I just don't understand entertainment culture in America.
Yeah.
So I just find it funny that you sat down and watched the Oscars.
Well, I mean, I honestly watched it because we did this, and that's. So,
I bet you would have watched it otherwise if your wife was watching it, though.
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because.
Okay. Then I feel better. Okay.
So I wouldn't have. Well, it's a Sunday night. I would have watched Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
And sent her to the bedroom, so I could watch The Walking Dead
or the kitchen. One of the two. Either make me a sandwich or go the fuck to sleep.
There's the only two places she should reside. So, but like I said, I'm very impressed with Jimmy Kimmel. There was a bit that he did last night where they had a bus, like a tour bus, come in, and they told these people they were going into a museum that was next to this theater, and then they just brought them into the theater and had them walk down in front of everybody.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And the first guy was awesome because he didn't give a shit about anything. He walked in with his phone out and just continued to take pictures the entire way. And even at one point, Jimmy Kimmel's like, "Sir, you understand this is going to be on TV, right? You don't have to keep taking pictures." And like, so he kept just taking pictures. And so then they asked him his name, and he was there with his fiance, and they asked when they were getting married, and whatever. Denzel Washington got up and I now pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride. And
I love Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah, he was great. He was down in front. He was great. But and then so then they said, do you want to touch an Oscar? Because the guy from Moonlight was like a couple rows down. And the guy walked over to him, just like he owned the place, grabbed the Oscar, and gave his phone to the guy from Moonlight. I forget what his name is. Like
take the picture of me with the Oscar?
And
do this famous person?
And then he took a selfie of both of them with that guy's phone.
Wow.
And I was like, are you shitting me?
You know what, though? How much do you respect the shit out of that guy for doing that?
I mean, I cringed for him. It was because I couldn't be that ballsy as far as.
But is it cringe or is it really like, wow, I just can't believe you fucking did that?
No, for me, it's cringe because I look at it as like, wow, you probably should have done that. It turned out okay. It's fine, But I mean, even during that time, they pointed to Casey Affleck.
Right.
He goes, "Sir, don't worry. That is not a homeless vagrant from the streets. That is Oscar nominated Casey Affleck." So he was like, and he made fun of Mel Gibson. So that was pretty cool.
Is that back to being the thing again? He's popular enough to make fun of him and have it be funny.
He laughed.
He sung so low that, you know what I mean? Making fun of Mel Gibson wasn't even a joke anymore. People are like, who the fuck's that has-been?
Well, yeah, but I
guess he's back enough now that it's in vogue again.
Well, it was nice because he was there.
Right. Oh, yeah, because he had, yeah.
He was nominated.
Right.
But, yeah. But
which is just amazing. That's the unspoken true Hollywood success story right there is Mel fucking Gibson.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, how much Larry can go from being an anti-Semite in an industry dominated by Jews and come back to being back on top?
Pete Rose can't get into the Hall of Fame, but
Mel Gibson can get an Oscar nod.
There you go. So, but it was a good one. So, did you look over the awards?
I looked over them
because I know your big thing was Star Wars Rogue One,
which got nothing.
Nope, but it was nominated for 2 things and lost both.
Which is bullshit. They shouldn't lose anything it was nominated for. But so I looked at the list. You know what? And here's what I thought. Now we'll talk about what I want to talk about for a second, which is who the fuck cares? Let's be honest. So there was that whole giant Steve Harvey moment at the end,
Right.
with Moonlight and La La Land. But
Can I pause you for a second?
you may, yes.
So last night it went, or Sunday night it went long. Obviously,
Right.
I tried to stand I was standing up for the whole thing, and we've got real jobs, so I have to get up, on Monday morning, and so I'm staying up and watching the thing, and they announced La La Land. I turned off the TV.
Did you really?
I was like, I don't care about these fuckers' speeches.
Good call. Yeah, that's true.
So I was like, it's gonna be like another 10 minutes of bullshit. So I just turn it right off.
How many people you think did that? You think maybe 10% of the audience just turned it off after La La Land, had no idea that Moonlight won? 20%?
I don't know. I don't know, because I would think that I would think people that are watching it are watching it for the speeches. I'm not. I
don't think they are at all.
You really don't think so?
I think people go to see the presenters more than the speeches.
Possibly. I don't know.
For instance, Michael J. Fox was there. They had the DeLorean, which was cool last night. I think you go to see that more than see some director you never heard of or some sound editor giving a speech about sound editing or costume design.
But if you love drama, you're there for the speeches because there's going to be something anti-Trump or something good that happens.
But at the end of the night, when it's already long, I feel like I would have done the same thing as you. It's like watching the Super Bowl,
right?
And the game's over. The score says 17-14, and you turn the TV out before they give the award out.
Yep,
that's basically what happened.
But this was another instance where you need to stay till the actual fucking end,
right? Wow,
and I didn't.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That happened, by the way. I can't believe even after the Steve Harvey incident, this happened on a much bigger stage.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm very much the type of person that is, you have to stay to the end. If I go to a sporting event,
yes,
you don't leave
no
with 5 minutes left on the clock. You wait till zeros.
You wait till zeros.
Yep. And this is the first time I got burned.
I think every true sports fan though knows that rule, and you just didn't follow it.
I did not.
Well, every sports fan at one point has that story where they turned off the TV too early or left the game too early, and things turned around for their team.
Thank God mine is just the Oscars.
Right. Thank God yours is just the Oscars. But it happens to everybody. And that's how they learn that, hey, you don't say zero until it's zero.
Yep.
So now,
sorry.
Anyways, I'm back to what I was going to say, which is it's all bullshit anyways.
Okay.
We both agree Moonlight's not a good movie.
I agree.
Who gives a fuck about that movie? And who gives a fuck about the Oscars? Or any award for that matter? They mean nothing. They're meaningless. Oscars, Grammys, whatever, are all fucking bullshit. So this is my little salute to La La Land, which didn't win an award. Don't feel bad because you're in good company. I have here on my phone, I made a little list today of other important figures that never won awards.
Okay.
And I want to read them to you just to let people know that if you don't win an award, you're probably cooler than the people who do.
All right.
Let's start with, this week is in America right now.
What is this week?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Read Across America Day is this week. It's known as Dr. Seuss Week in children's literature.
Okay.
Dr. Seuss, who is the most famous children's author and illustrator of probably all time.
Right.
Never won a Newbery Award and never won a Caldecott Gold Medal.
Okay.
Just so you know. The most famous guy, if you say children's book,
right,
you think Dr. Seuss never won an award for it.
Huh?
Vincent van Gogh sold one painting his entire life. Never won any awards for art.
Right.
Probably the best painter, at least of the Impressionists, to ever live.
Right.
Never won dick. My third on the list you already brought up. Pete Rose. Career leader in hits. Not in the Hall of Fame.
Well, there's an asterisk beside his name.
It doesn't matter.
All right.
Pete Rose. My stump.
Yeah, don't put La La Land next to a cheater or a gambler.
Why? They almost cheated their way into a victory.
Yeah, well, they didn't cheat, but
Gandhi never won a Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, yeah.
J.R.R. Tolkien never won shit as a writer. Yeah. Alfred Hitchcock never won an Oscar for Best Director.
Really?
Glenn Close has never won an Oscar.
Really?
Nolan Ryan, one of the most famous pitchers of all time, never won a Cy Young for being the best pitcher in his own league in a given season. They give out 2 of those awards every year, by the way, Travis. One for the American League, one for the National League. Never won one Cy Young in the 20-plus seasons he pitched.
Huh.
Stanley Kubrick never won an Oscar for Best Director. He only ever won one Oscar in his life, and I believe it was for something like sound editing.
Yeah.
For 2001. James Joyce never won the Nobel Prize for Literature. Mark Twain, who is the father of the original great American novel, never won a prize for it. Never won anything.
Well, it was a good American novel then. Now it's great.
Maya Angelou never won a Pulitzer or major literary prize. She did win Tony Awards.
Huh.
But I think people know her as a writer.
Right.
And never won anything for that. And last, and definitely not least, the richest man to ever walk America, John D. Rockefeller, never won anything. At one point in time, he was worth 2% of America's total GDP.
What would he have been? What kind of award?
I don't know. Just saying.
He's probably got like a Man of the Year award or something.
Not when he was alive.
Really?
Nope. Nothing.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he should get an award for like richest dude ever. So there you go, La La Land. If you didn't win anything, I'm sorry you didn't win Best Picture. You're in good company.
You're right.
These awards are bullshit.
I mean, yes, they're. Well,
I skipped one. Dan Marino, 0 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, I was wondering where that was going to come. Did Jim Kelly ever win one?
He came so close.
But yeah,
he beat cancer though.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you're right. You're right. It probably don't matter, but except for box office, really pushes them in the box office. Then
yeah, but none of them are going to even catch Rogue One, so at least they can laugh last there.
Yeah, well,
I bet you could add up all the Academy Award nominees together, and they might equal Rogue One.
Ooh, right. That's a good thought because you're probably right.
Yep. So good job, Star Wars.
Yeah. Hey,
they're laughing last all the way to the bank.
Good for you.
Yep. There you go. So that's what we have this week. The number is 747 banging.
747-226-4464.
Give us a call. Let's talk about the Oscars. Talk about Larry Bleidner. We'll talk about anything and everything as long as it's not about Travis losing to me.
Why? You don't want to hear that?
No, I don't
want to hear that. So.
I didn't want to gloat. That's it.
Except you brought it up, so you can gloat. But PW the podcast for all your social media needs. We're on YouTube. If for some reason you need to listen to us where only YouTube is available, you can listen to all the episodes there.
We're also on TuneIn, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud. I mean, really, if you're not finding us, you're not really trying. So.
Right.
Which is fine. Just don't lie about it. Don't be like, oh, I can't find you guys. I'm really looking hard and I can't find you. Do you know what iTunes is?
Go to the goddamn website. You can just listen to it there.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you know what the internet is? What the fuck is the internet, guys?
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next Tuesday.